Mark Arnold, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Brill. CEO of Kensington Mortgages, and that's been 7 years now, and Head of Mortgages, Savings and Insurance, and that's been 2 years at Barclays.
It's a long time, a lot done. I don't even look old enough, I don't think, but yes.
Absolutely not, absolutely not. And it's been 2 years since the acquisition of Kensington by Barclays. Okay, we've got lots to unpack today, so thank you very much for joining us. If I look back at our last webinar, Simon Betteridge, CFO of Kensington and Barclays, joined us and highlighted some of the 2024 trends. Really interested in what you've seen are the biggest challenges and changes in 2024 are.
Well, 2024 I thought was going to be quite a calm year. So we had an election, we then had a budget, and assumed that we were going to get stability. We'd had 3 or 4 years in a post-trust budget of sort of variability and volatility, and it has calmed to some degree, particularly in the mortgage space with swaps coming down. However, I think sort of the election, the build-up to the election calmed the market, but it also stalled the market. Post-election, the market took off on the mortgage side, and then we get to the budget, and people were hesitant, and confidence went, and we certainly see it in the run-up between budget and Christmas. That confidence seems to have dropped again. So I think we're still going to have volatility, hopefully in a lighter range, but people are still hesitant right now. I hope that will change.
We'll come back to consumer confidence in a bit, actually. And reflecting on the year, what's been the biggest learning for you?
Been many, I think, but I think volatility is the new norm. I think this period of time, certainly earlier in my career, you'd have an event and then you'd have calm for a couple of years. And I think in the last 3-4 years, and certainly last year, there's not been calm. There's constant change in the market. And constant change is good, but you've got to be ready for it. You've got to be resilient. And I think that's certainly what our broker colleagues, community and supporters have seen. They've been resilient. I think we've been resilient in terms of the way that we've approached it as well. So I think uncertainty, volatility, but what that means for us is that we have to be ever-changing and resilient to that.
Brilliant, thank you. So Barclays have recently conducted some research that's been very well received by the trade press. We talked about consumer spending slightly, and we'll come back to that later, but we also talked about right sizing. Could you, for anyone that hasn't read it, tell us what some of the key themes and takeaways are?
I can. I mean, we're conducting, certainly the last couple of years, a lot of research. We have a huge sort of customer base, and we have huge insight, whether it be consumer spending, whether it be sort of on the mortgage space, and trying to lever that to bring added value to customers and brokers alike, and insight. The latest, as you say, is the right sizing report. So we often focus on people getting onto the ladder and the first time buyers.
Absolutely.
But we don't look at people at the top end of the market who are probably similar age to me, sort of 50 plus, who are looking to downside. Maybe the children have left home, the house they need is too big, and looking to step off and step down. And in many ways, they release the market so people can come up through the market. It's a circular effect. So the research was looking at sort of what people think and whether that is true. And it is. 40% of people we interviewed over that age group, and over the age group, not as 60 as you'd think or 55, over 50 and 45, said they wanted to downsize, to take money out of the property, or their circumstances to change. And there's nothing there to support them, as there is on the first time buyers. So I think the research stated that, it gave fact and substance to that. And I think it's insightful with the new government coming in to show them that, you know, things that they could do, whether that be on stamp duty, but also supporting them in some of those moving costs, and making maybe that tax effective for them to do it as a stimulus to actually get the market moving. So, and that research is on our website for those that haven't seen it, who want to see it.
Absolutely, and we're asked constantly by our brokers and our partners for data and insight and kind of what we're seeing in the market. Like you said, Barclays bank 1 in 4 customers in the UK, so great place to get this from. What do you think the broker benefits are going to be from us doing this type of research?
I think, look, we're one of the few banks in the UK with the broadest range. You mentioned KMC, and you mentioned Barclays. We've got a broad range of products and insight, millions of customers, and I think that data, whether it be credit card data, leading to mortgage data, it adds value and fact and substance to some of the things and the trends that they see, but we can provide the fact pattern, and hopefully, with the insight that we have, we can affect change. We can share that data with governments, with regulators, to get ahead of some of those trends, and for the regulators, the governments, and the banks and broker community to actually get ahead of some of those trends and support the customers better.
Yeah, brilliant. We've had great feedback from it already, so definitely if you haven't read it already or got a chance, then do so. So next year we're going to be celebrating 2-year anniversary of the Barclays acquisition of Kensington. Time has absolutely flown, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
It has. And how have you found the last 2 years, and what impact has the acquisition had?
I think it's been a pretty, tough 2 years, not just for the acquisition, because the market has been very tough as well, just the volatility that I've talked about. But I think for us as both Barclays and Kensington, I have the unique privilege of actually running both the Barclays mortgage business and the Kensington business. And I think that's really helped as we brought together. So, the intent from Barclays was to move into a new space, and the specialist space was an area that they didn't and weren't playing in, but they could support, and some of their customers were in that space as well. So bringing the two brands together, the two independent brands together to serve a broader market has been key. Has it been easy? No, it hasn't. Two very different businesses with very different cultures and different customers in terms of the way that we approach customers. Kensington's more specialist, more hand-holding those customers who are complex. They're not bad customers, they're complex customers that need time, and we take the time to underwrite. Whereas Barclays is high street, and again, it's speed and efficiency. But I think we've blended well, and we've learned from each other, both research that we can bring to bear, investment. So through some of the difficult times in the last 2 years, we continue to invest in Kensington and to make sure that we're ready for it. And then for Kensington as well, funding, making sure that we had continuity of funding through the cycle and able to support brokers and their customers respectively through. So tough journey with the market, two cultures coming together, but I think we've blended well. I think, and I think there's cross-skilling. There's a lot of people, Francis, you included, who sit on both sides of the camp as I do, and I think that blending of some of the insight from specialist into high street and some of the high street into specialist really is a combination that's winning.
Definitely, and we've got some fantastic people, so it's great to get them involved
Absolutely.
in different parts of the business. So Mark, what's next for the two brands?
Growth. I think with the market, I think 2024 has been an interesting year, but it's been a growth year. It's better than we all expected. I think there is more consistency, and certainly the mortgage market has picked up significantly. Slowed down a bit, I think, as we run up to the end of the year. I think the two brands are unique, and they have very unique propositions. So the Barclays brand is stable, confident, been around for 334 years, serving customers, and I think it's getting I talk about the efficiency and the consistency with the broker network, and it's also new systems coming in. Lots of new front-end systems to support the journeys for customers and brokers alike, and more of that to come in a couple of weeks and also in 25. On the Kensington side, it's growth. We have a parent that is willing to significantly invest in us and and it's broadening our proposition. So the resi space and the complex we always occupy, the BTL space that we're growing in now as well. So we've seen significant growth, but where some of our competitors have fallen by the wayside, the investment that we have, the funding that we have, allows us to grow leveraging Barclays. So I think you'll still see the two brands, you'll still see the same people, but more confident and able to support the customers and you. And we're going to continue to evolve. Status quo is not acceptable. So we keep on innovating both in product and service. So more of the same, I think.
Definitely.
But just on steroids.
Absolutely. The buy-to-let prime proposition has gone down extremely well with brokers. I can vouch for that. And hopefully some new innovation coming in the next couple of weeks.
More to come.
Perfect. So Mark, really interested to hear what you think the challenges that are going to face us in 2025.
It's an interesting one. I think we will continue to have volatility. So that's the new norm, as I've said. But I'm positive on 2025. I think we have momentum. So 24 was a better year, much better year than 23. I think 25 will continue on that vein. I think as we run up to the end of the year, it will slow down. It always does. It seems to have slowed a little bit earlier. But I think if you look out to 25, interest rates will come down, maybe a little slower than we thought. Inflation's spiked a little bit. We've got the next print shortly, but I think interest rates will come down. And the government has set out some huge ambitions on new build. 1.5 million houses, 300,000 a year of new build properties to support demand. They're also talking about sort of refreshing mortgage guarantee schemes for first-time buyers, and hopefully picking up some of our research on later life as well to support that. So there's definitely momentum and there's a fair wind behind. I'm generally positive with where the market is going, and I think there's a huge pent-up demand. We've seen that. 22 and 23 were slower for all the reasons that we know with interest rates. There's definitely momentum, both government, market, and buyer. And if you look at some of the listings that have happened, if you look at the estate agents, they're full of listings right now.
Absolutely.
So, and the house price appreciation, the nationwide data recently showed again a healthy increase.
Yeah.
So the market's solid. It just needs confidence, and I think that is the missing ingredient right now. Some of the post-budget sort of noise and news. Let's just hope that Christmas comes, people get some cheer, and that confidence returns. That will be the driver, and I'm positive that it will.
I think there's a lot of optimism for 2025 for sure. Very interesting what you say about new build, the targets, whether achievable or not, kind of not for us to comment on.
No.
However, supporting the new build markets will always been really key for Kensington and for Barclays. And we have an exclusive. So I think it's today, tomorrow, we're announcing that we're supporting the Own You scheme with some of the largest house builders in the UK, which is great news for first-time buyers and second-time buyers.
Another innovative product for Kensington on the marketplace. And again, great news as we come up to the end of the year to get that live and hopefully much utilised as those new builds come through. It's a great product. So it's on the website. Please have a look.
Thank you. So optimism and momentum being some of your favourite words at the moment,
and confidence.
Mark, and confidence. Looking at those positives, what do you think the opportunities for our mortgage market are going to be next year?
I think, and we've talked some of this as well, it's about sort of getting an offering, a compulsive and compelling offering around new build and around first-time buyers. And I think with some governmental support, which I think has been talked about, that's going to help to accelerate. I think looking at not later life segment, but that last buy segment in terms of people who want to move down, I think we've got to find some way to support them. And that's certainly the research that we've done and has been picked up by government and industry as a sort of a benchmark. Others have followed in that as well, and it's sort of consistent in terms of feedback. But I think it's service as well, making sure that we continue to deliver as banks, whether it be Barclays, Kensington, or other banks, consistently deliver service levels to customers who want to come through, and that's across the piece. And I think we're going to see technology play a bigger part, I think, in 25 and 26 to improve those services and to give brokers and customers alike greater choice. And I think there's more innovation coming from us on the system side, but I know in the market as well, which I think will be helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it was probably about 10 years ago, we were talking about robo-advice was kind of the word for brokers and what was going to happen there. Now kind of we're talking about AI and what that might mean for brokers. Should brokers be worried about anything coming up?
I think they should be conscious of it. As I said before, status quo is unacceptable. If you don't do anything, you're going to be left behind. But I think AI is going to be a complement to the journey and a supporter of gathering data and facts, which are sort of bureaucracy, so that brokers can engage more with clients and use the time as added value as opposed to gathering and getting information. I think that's certainly the way we're looking at it. I think over time it will play a bigger part, but right now that's what I see the next 2 or 3 years. It's involving it, engaging it, learning about it, and bringing it into your journeys and processes to support that and support your clients and your speed of decision and or speed of interpretation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mark, we've got a lot of brokers kind of dialing into this webinar today. Do you have any advice for brokers going into 2025?
Well, first of all, thank you for all your support. You've been a great support for both Barclays and Kensington over the last few years, and I hope you will be for 2025. Support and sort of thinking about sort of advice, I think it's back to that volatility point. It is going to be get ready for more volatility. So whatever happens, be global events, local events, inflation events, I'm hoping that the volatility won't be a range like that, it'll be a range like this, but more volatility. I think engage and embrace technology. We talked about AI. That's going to sort of change. I don't think it's going to be as meaningful initially as people think, but again, utilize it in terms of your journeys. Accept the status quo is not going to be the status quo and move on beyond that. And get ready for, I think, what will be a 2025 that will be strong, but we'll have to continue both as lenders and brokers to innovate. And remember, as you always do, the customer is king. And that's something we do, but I know you do more as brokers engaging with the customers. Let's work together to sort of get seamless journeys and hopefully faster and right decisions for our customers respectively.
Mark, You've had quite the exciting and successful career. What would be your top tip for anyone who's aspiring to be a leader?
Yeah, I was reflecting on this the other day, 35 years or so in sort of multiple markets around the globe. I think my couple of tips would be, and for those that didn't know, I'd worked for GE around the globe for 20 years, and there was a leader called Jack Welch. He would always say, lean in and take the hardest assignment. You learn more in tough times, in hard jobs, than you do in easy jobs. So my advice for anybody, and particularly in this environment, is lean in, take the hardest assignment. It's tough, you learn, you may fail, but you learn an awful lot about yourself, and the skills that you acquire through tough periods actually put you in good stead for the good periods. And again, the other piece is constantly look at change. Everything you do right now it may be great now, but someone out there in your competition is trying to do better and will land something or launch something that's going to destroy your business. Constantly keep ahead, constantly look to change, and keep a focus on the customer. If you do that, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Lean in. I'm going to take that away.
Lean in.
Thank you.
No problem.
Mark, thank you so much. That's been really insightful. Really appreciate you spending the time with us today.
No problem at all. Thank you. It's been really, hopefully been useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to also just thank all of our broker community and partners for all the support that they've had, and I think probably wish them a successful and happy and healthy 2025.
Absolutely. And a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Back to Eloise.